I'm Chef Frank, this is Protocooks, and today we're making charmella with my cousin Steven. So Chef Frank, what is charmella? Well, charmella is actually an Italian peasant bread with anise seed in it, and it kind of looks like a big bagel, and it's something that through Steven's family I was introduced to as a kid, and I absolutely love it. I think it's delicious, it's chewy, it's got a little bit of the anise flavor, but I've never made it before. And Steven is kind of the caretaker of his family's recipes. His mom had recorded the recipe. Before his mom recorded the recipe, it was all about just watching his grandmother do it. So Steven's gonna be here and he's gonna go through it. He's made it many times and he's gonna show us how to make it. So tell us about charmella.
I think you summarized it pretty well, actually, Frank. It is kind of like the Italian bagel. As I understand it, is something that they used to wear on their arm when they were out in the fields and they were planting, so they could pick a piece off and have it while they were out in the fields and not have to go back in.
Yeah.
And it is basically, in my childhood, something that had to be on the table at every meal. It was something that we all looked forward to as children, and now we're making it so that my kids and my nieces and nephew can enjoy it.
Yeah, and it is something that for me is a treat. Like, you know, I don't get it a lot. Steven makes it and his family makes it, and it's an extreme treat. I think it's delicious. And where in Italy is it from?
Frosinone is where my family's from, which is just about an hour south of Rome. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if it's just that region of Italy, but I know that in that area, it's commonly made by the nuns in the local churches, and they'll sell it on the street sides for relatively cheap.
So who makes it better, you or the nuns?
Yeah, well, I mean, not upsetting the Catholic Church. I think that their product is very what you'd expect out of a nun.
So dry and maybe just a little
really dense.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
A lot of times when you're dealing with Italian grandmas, you know, most of our Italian grandmas, if you're Italian, they don't measure, right?
No measurements.
No measurements.
Well, I mean, their hand is a measurement.
Yeah, their hand is a measurement. And, you know, luckily Steven's grandparents are still alive and with us, and probably, does your grandmother still make it?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
She just had her 90th birthday, though.
Yeah.
So probably makes it.
Probably still makes it. His grandparents are like, his grandfather still makes wine in their 90s, and they're still doing this stuff. So what did your mom do to get this recipe?
Yeah, and this was years ago. She was making it with my grandmother on a pretty regular basis, and she tracked it down, and she basically documented it on paper for us.
Which is something you have to do, you know, and I've done the same thing with my mother-in-law with her soda bread. You have to basically stop them at every point and say, okay, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? And my aunt took a lot of copious notes. There it is, copious notes. And so let's talk about the ingredients. What do we got?
Okay, 10 cups of water, and it's lukewarm. 2 packs of yeast. What is this? Rapid rise yeast.
Rapid rise, yeah.
And then over here, probably the most important ingredient is kosher salt. It's got to be kosher. And then the anise, which gives it the flavor.
Yes.
And then unbleached flour, 10 pounds.
10 pounds of unbleached. So it's 10 pounds. We're doing a big batch because we're going to basically, Steven's going to take a bunch home. I'm going to put some in my freezer. But the most interesting thing here is the anise seed, right? And this to me is something that people either love or hate. I love licorice and anise flavor. Can you do without the anise seed?
You can. Actually, my sister probably would like that, my younger sister, Andrea, but I don't do it.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, to me, that's what this bread is.
That's why we make a 10-pound batch. You make enough to share with the family. This will yield probably 40 pieces of ciamella.
Okay.
And then you put it in the freezer, and you take it out for a meal in the middle of the week. You put some surpressata inside or some cheese.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
And they freeze well.
Yeah.
And it reheats well.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I always remember this being warm or hot. You take it out of the freezer, you let it defrost, put it in the oven.
You don't even have to defrost it. You just put it in a warm oven.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, Steven, what's the first step?
Okay. First, we put the yeast in. This is rapid rise yeast. So I cut it up and then get it in there. And then my mom has a conniption. If you don't, make sure you got all of the yeast out. So we're going to go pocket for pocket and make sure we get it all.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And I think that's it.
Okay.
So we're good there.
So 6 packets of rapid rise yeast to 10 cups of flour. And one of the things that we talked about earlier is the ratio of water to flour. Water to flour, you kind of just came to it that it is what?
It's basically a 1-for-1.
A cup of water,
to
every pound of flour.
Exactly.
Now, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. They don't really equal up, but when you're doing this, you just remember for every pound of flour, you're going to do a cup of water. And you just mix this up?
Yep. Mix it up. I have no clue if this is the right thing to do, but I've watched it done this way, so we just try to make it homogeneous.
So we're breaking up the pieces of yeast and trying to make it as homogeneous as possible. And it's still warm?
It is perfect.
Okay.
I think that we're going to put this to the side.
Let's put it to the side and move to the next step. Yeast is mixed with the water. We just dump our flour in?
Yep, dump it in.
So we got 10 pounds of flour. Now, we're doing a large batch. This is something that Stephen's family does all the time. It's always a large batch.
I had to tell you, Frank, in my opinion, after doing my first 10-pound batch completely on my own, I realized that this is probably a way for the women in my family to get their aggression out. It's a really serious workout.
Yeah.
But power to them, because both of my aunts, my grandmother, my mom, they do it completely on their own. Okay, next we need to get a healthy cup of kosher salt in.
So kosher salt's important here, okay? Not because it's kosher, just for the fact that if you use table salt, this will be salty, okay? Kosher salt has bigger flakes. Table salt is more compact, and this will be salty, so it needs to be kosher salt. We're using diamond crystal.
Yep.
Okay, and then?
Perfect. And then the flavor. This is the anise. This, honestly, I'm not sure how much I put, but it's usually a very healthy handful. And I think that's going to be perfect.
Enough?
Yep.
Okay, good. So aniseed, that's what we're putting in now. So this gives it the licorice flavor.
All right, now I just mix it up dry, just to get the anise mixed in, and then we're going to go to the water.
Okay.
All right, you want to?
I will dump and you will mix. Just a little, or
I go a little bit at a time.
Okay.
Just makes it easier for me. This is usually something Selena will help me with.
And Selena's his wife.
Keep going. This is the part where I would want my Aunt Loretta on the phone to tell us how she does this, because she is kind of the queen of making ciamella in our family.
Yeah.
And she just gets this beautiful shine on it, and I think it's related to this part of the process. I think she probably is stingy with the amount of water that she puts in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like making cement. The less water you put, the stronger the dough is going to be.
So all the water goes in with the yeast. And you can see we're mixing with our hands, or Stephen's mixing with his hands. And I imagine that when it comes down to it, this is important just for the fact that you need to get the feel for it, right? I'm sure there's a certain feel that your Aunt Loretta, your mother, your grandmother looks for with this.
Once I get it into a ball, then I'm going to pour it out.
Okay, we'll put it right on the counter and we'll let it go.
And that's when the real workout starts.
We brought it together most of the way here.
Yep, now we're going to try and get it out.
We're going to get it right onto the table. Let me see. I have a scraper that might help us. Here, if you use that, it's a really good thing to get everything off the bottom. Well, he's doing it the old school Italian way. Get your hands in there.
Well, I'm going to get to your scraper, don't worry.
Your modern ways.
My modern ways. What magic is this?
But you're right that my mom is very particular about making sure I get every little bit of the flour out.
And in case I didn't explain it, Stephen is my first cousin. His mom and my dad are brother and sister. So he's my first cousin. We grew up across the street from each other. And we used to throw Stephen in the pool.
Fondest memories.
So do you want me to get in there and start kneading?
Yeah, have at
Bringing it together and kneading. Now, would this be easier if we broke it up into two and we both kneaded after we get it to the one really good mass?
Absolutely. When my mom started to teach me, that's what she was doing. She would give me a little bit to knead.
Okay, good. So that's what we'll do. But you want to get everything together. From what I know about doughs, you want to try and get all of this in and start to make it into a nice smooth mass. When I knead, okay, Stephen's just washing his hands, but when he's doing that, when I knead, I try not to use my arms as much. I'm tall, my counter is about waist height. I try and use my body weight rather than my muscles. And I do a fold over and push, fold over and push, but I'm using my body weight more than anything. So I have a feeling we're going to get really tired, Stephen.
Yeah, you're
Come on in, come on in.
All right, we'll take some turns.
Okay, take turns. Okay, go, your turn, and we'll just
That's
switch
good.
off, and then we'll break it in half. And so look, body, use your body, not your strength. If you're really short, get some stool to stand on.
That leverage makes a big difference.
Leverage makes everything. I always tell my students to work smarter, not harder. And working smarter here is using your body weight. I'm a little heavier than Steven. Just a little. Part of this, I don't know that anyone's really going to make this, but I want to document some of these recipes that I grew up with and that were part of my family repertoire. And even though this is from Steven's father's side of the family, it's something that was ever present whenever I went over the house and ate dinner with them. So it's something that I want to record. We're going to get Steven's mom on the phone, my Aunt Mary Jane, and she's going to tell us how we're doing. We're going to get the pro to tell us.
Hello.
Hey, Ma.
How you doing?
Terrific.
Can you see the dough?
Oh, what you make, 10 pounds?
Yes.
10 pounds.
Oh, you should have done 5. It's so ridiculous.
All right, you want to trade?
Yeah, we're going to trade. Hi, Andrea. So we got my Aunt Mary Jane on the line. She's just watching to see if we're doing it right. And my cousin Andrea. So how does it look, Aunt Mary Jane?
It looks good. That's it. Now you knead until your arms fall off.
Yeah, we know. Yeah. Steven said part of what he believes the secret is to this is not adding any extra water to it to keep it a fairly firm dough.
Yes, very firm.
Yeah, and that it needs a fair amount of salt. So we did 10 pounds and a cup of 1 cup of salt?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be very salty. Okay.
That's your recipe. What do you mean that'll be very salty?
A cup of salt? I said a cup of salt. Really?
It's in your handwriting.
Yeah, we have it right here. I'll go.
Split it?
Yeah. Let's split it, yeah.
I was just going to tell you that. Why don't you cut it in half? Once you're sure of all the ingredients are in.
Yeah, we're combined.
That's it. You know, five, 6, 7 minutes, and that should really do it.
Until the seeds pop.
Oh, the seeds got to pop out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah, that's not, is that in the recipe?
That may not be there.
That needs to be in the recipe once the
you're right.
seeds pop out. That's a good indicator.
Yes, it is, actually. Okay.
Okay, thank you. You think we're about there, Stephen?
I think we're about there. Actually, what we should do now is cut them in half again.
Okay.
Because when we proof it, it'll be 4 pieces.
Okay.
And we'll make those into footballs.
This goes into a football. So it is a very firm dough. Not a lot of water in it. Okay, we're gonna wrap these in plastic. Right onto the tray.
Okay. Right onto the tray.
Like that?
Yeah, do you have any olive oil?
Yeah, I do. A little bit of olive oil.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of a customization this is, if I'm straying from the traditional recipe here, but yeah, we put a little bit of olive oil on the bottom, and then I kind
Just
of...
a little bit grease on top. So
Yeah.
I'll put a little on the trays. And this will stop it from forming a crust. Okay, so we're gonna wrap these. I like to wrap all the way around. Wait. Put it, watch, go like this. This way we don't get as much air, and we'll leave it as loose. We'll leave it a little loose on top so we have room to grow. But I find that you see how this seals up the sides a little more?
Yeah.
And in the restaurant industry, we call this a hotel wrap. Whenever you wrap, or a catering wrap, you wrap all the way over and under. And it'll give us a little less airflow in there, but we'll be able to rise. Okay, there's one.
That's perfect. And there's just one last step, actually. Before we put this in the oven, you have to give each one of them the sign of the cross.
Sign of the cross?
Because you want to make sure that they're going to rise. At least that's what my grandmother says.
That's what the grandmother says.
So there we go.
So we're going to put these in a warm spot. What we're going to do is the oven is off. All we have is the oven light on, and that usually gives us enough heat for these to rise. And how long do you think these are going to rise for?
About 60 to 90 minutes.
An hour and a half, okay? Until they're almost double in size. The dough has risen. So the dough's basically double in size, right? We'll take one out. and we'll leave it wrapped, right? It's important that this does not get a crust on it, right?
Yep. You got to keep it moist.
Got to keep
covered.
it moist or covered, and we'll take one out. Okay, we'll take that one out. We'll recover that. Okay. Okay, so do we need any table flour or no?
Not really.
Okay.
If we did a good job, we'll be okay.
Okay, so we want to do, what do we want to do now? Split this into 10?
It's going to be 10, so let's just take one section there. And I'll show you what we do.
And then we have a damp towel over here to keep this from skinning over. I'm going to get a piece for myself. Okay, so
Make it into a ball.
I think I did too big.
It'll be a good one.
Okay.
And then flatten it out. To
Make
a
it into a
log.
snake.
And then, actually, this is a small piece. This would be perfect for this pan.
Okay.
And then once you got it like that, give it a little hit, and we have our rolling pins. We're gonna flatten it out. I'm making a baby one here, Frank.
I'm making the big guy. So roll it out nice and flat.
Yep. Probably 1/8 of an inch.
Oh, so I'm too thick here. Yeah?
That's perfect. And then, so the method is you got your left hand, I'm just going to show you. You keep your thumb, you're going to fold it over your thumb. Like that.
Okay.
And then you move it to the next side, fold it over, like that. And then once you have that done, perfect. Pick it up, and I like to fold it in so that this part, make sure you really crimp it. I practically mix it together again.
Oh, so you really get it tight.
Just because I don't like fussing with it when they come apart.
Okay.
Yeah, my grandmother, my mom, they might use a toothpick. I'm a little lazy, so I really
just work it together. Okay.
And then that's it. This is probably the smallest one I've ever made.
So we got to go bigger. So what I remember, they're about that big, finished, right?
Yep, exactly.
So do we want to roll a couple?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, let's roll a couple and then we'll boil it, right? We've rolled them out. We have them under a damp towel so they don't dry out. This dough doesn't have a ton of water, so it's prone to dry out fairly quick.
It does, quick.
What do we have?
This is a rolling boil. We've got a little bit of oil and a little bit of salt. I don't know if we're supposed to do that, but I like it. So that's what I do.
So his mom and his Aunt Loretta might not approve.
Yeah, we're gonna find out.
We're gonna find out. Okay, so what do we do next?
And then we let's take our first one. Actually, this one
Is that the first one?
Okay. Yeah, exactly. And I like to put it in. It would have been bad. With the flour side down. So, and then once it boils and it's ready to come out, it's actually gonna rise to the surface.
And you want it to be a full rolling boil.
Yeah.
For everyone that we do.
Yeah, that's the best.
Not just warm water. It's got to be a rolling boil.
Got to be rolling.
Okay.
There you go. I may give it another 10 or 20 seconds, depending, and then we will fish it out.
So comes to a float, fish it out, tap off the excess, and then we have a tray for it to go on. Small. You were saying that your mom and your Aunt Loretta do these one at a time.
One at a time.
Okay.
Yeah. We can get risky, and you want to put another one in?
Well, yeah, we're gonna do that.
Let's do it.
I think as long as we know which one went in first, we're okay. The house is all steamy with anise and yeast smelling vapors. So I can see where you really have to get the edges sealed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it becomes a pain in the butt when they loosen up and you're trying to move them in the oven.
Because they break apart. Drop her in. Okay, other ones are a little big, so I might have to do one at a time. So you can see they puff up slightly. I don't know about you, but I'm excited.
I'm ready to eat it.
So I texted Steven earlier in the week about filming today, and he did a test batch of them at home, and he had all the ingredients ready. I said, I'll go buy the ingredients. What do you need? He's like, I bought it already. I'm ready to go.
We are ready.
So this is exciting for both of us. So now that they are boiled, we're going to cook them in the oven, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Right on the rack.
And this is a process, right? This is a bit of a process?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
So having extra hands definitely helps out over here. Over at the oven, now we're going to bake.
All right.
Tell us how to do it.
So it's pretty simple. Actually, all we're going to do is put them right on the rack. See if I can do this without burning myself. I put the fat side down and drop them on. And we're going to put them all in I don't like to do this until we have enough to fill the top rack.
Because the oven loses heat and you want it to be nice and hot.
Yeah, the oven is set to 425, and you get it, hopefully you keep it hot for, I think that's going to be all we can get. Let's cram that.
I think we can fill one more. You can do
Cram
it.
that guy in there.
Good. Close it?
Close it up.
Okay. So we're going to let it go until what?
So when you scrape it and it peels off the top, off of the rack without sticking, it's ready to move to the bottom.
Cool. So we'll come back when that's ready. Once these release, we're going to turn it over and put it on the bottom shelf to get brown. So they release, bottom shelf to get brown. We don't want it to stick to the shelf. And then we could put the next batch in. And this is our finished product, charmella, the way Stephen's family makes it. So give us a quick recap. What do we do?
All right, so first we mixed all the ingredients, and then after that we kneaded the dough for a long time. And once it was kneaded to a really tough dough, and then we put it into the oven, right? We let it proof, and after the proofing we took it out, we shaped it into these bagel-like pretzels, and then it was boiled for just about a minute, and we threw it in the oven for some color.
So let's taste.
Okay.
Which one do you want? You choose the one that we should taste.
Let's go with this one right on top. There you go.
Okay, I'm going to take a piece. You can hear that it crunches. You can hear, I'm going to do it to the microphone, it's a little crunchy. The outside is kind of like smooth and shiny. The inside's super chewy. Definitely like a bagel. And that anise seed is just amazing. I think that, I love that. And it's not overpowering though.
No.
But it's definitely like just a really nice kind of accent flavor.
I think we could even put a little bit more anise.
Just a touch more.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. And I hope someone actually makes this. It's a wonderful recipe. Again, like I said, you don't have to do 10 pounds. We did 10 pounds because Stephen's going to take a bunch home and we're going to put a bunch in the freezer as well. And that was the plan from the start. But you can do half a batch or a quarter of a batch if you want. But I kind of feel if you're going to put the effort in, you should make a lot and put it in the freezer because you're going to love this bread. And that's it. That's charmella. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give us a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe, hit the little bell. We try and do one video a week. We have merchandise, Need Salt t-shirts, I Control the Salt t-shirts. Check out the description below. We also have a Patreon account. Thank you to my patrons for supporting us cooking and eating well. That's it. I want to thank you, Stephen, for coming. Thanks for everything. I don't get to see my cousins enough, but
it was really fun.
Thanks for showing us how to do this. And until next time, thanks for watching. I'm Chef Frank. This is Protocooks. Have a good one.